Hello, it is Saturday, October the 28th. It's around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I am in Vancouver now. Whereas my Canada has traveled today, it took a flight this morning from Whitehorse, Yukon, directly to Vancouver, British Columbia. This is a new series that Whereas my Canada is launching today. It is called Vancouver Musings to President Donald Trump. Hello, Mr. President. It's a pleasure to greet you again. I will be running some regular videos. Some will be introducing a hello to you at the beginning. Some might just be some thoughts that I have during the day that I put on film. But because we're starting in Vancouver, I wanted to set up a brand new series. And until we leave Vancouver and decide where we're going next, I wanted to introduce that to you. I wanted to highlight that to you as well. First off, I'd like to mention thank you to the Canadian Army, thank you to the Canadian Armed Forces, thank you to applicable departments within the Canadian government, thank you to the U.S. administration and the White House, and Mr. President, thank you as well directly to you for allowing me and providing me safe passage by air from Whitehorse to Vancouver. The gang stalking that has occurred today since I arrived in Vancouver has been nothing short of violent. The reason I am filming this right here is I sat down to have a cigarette and grab something to eat, and the squeaking that you heard beside me here, I want to just point out, that is an entrance to a Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce ATM machine. The Illuminati torment me 24 hours a day. I have post-traumatic stress disorder. They use sound, they use smell, they use anything that could distract me and torment me. They know that people with post-traumatic stress disorder have a heightened awareness to their surroundings. So what they do is they create what I call the haunted barrel works. There's an amusement park just offshore of Toronto on an island, and on that island is a haunted house called the Haunted Barrel Works. What has happened, if you look through original videos from Toronto, I have termed what I call sound explosions. Anywhere that I would travel around Toronto, there would be construction work, there would be jackhammers, there would be all kinds of outside noise that was meant to terrorize me. This sound you heard from the ATM machine door, I wanted to tape and record to let you know that this is planned all through my day. They knew I was going to come to Walmart to buy this new phone, and there's a chair right outside here. They knew probability-wise I would be sitting here, so they rigged this door right beside me so that whenever it opened and whenever it closed, it had a high screeching sound, knowing that it would get to my nerves, knowing that it would disarm me. This is what I have to put up with 24 hours a day, anywhere I go. There are sounds, there are screeches, there are all kinds of sounds made. Now that person who just walked through the door used the other door that was not designated with the screeching sound. They're watching me 24 hours a day, everywhere I go, and they act accordingly to terrorize me. There's constant brushing up beside me, behind me. There's shuffling of feet. There are all kinds of sounds. There's creaking sounds. If you look over here, you can see this person. It's a clone, and I have to put up with luggage carts, all kinds of things, anything to distract me so that I'm not allowed my own thoughts, my own conscience, which is a violation, of course. Anything that is meant to disarm and wear you out and exhaust you. That is what I put up with every single hour of every day. The gang stalking involves all kinds of people showing you just one eye on an angle. It shows children screaming in front of you, screaming beside you, jumping up and down. There you go. There's the sound right there. There's the sound right there. That's exactly, there you go again. That's exactly what I have to put up with. I can just sit down to have a peaceful cigarette and enjoy the sun, but I can't because the Illuminati control every thought, every emotion, every action. This has been occurring for a year and a half since I was drugged with the date rape drug by the RCMP and kidnapped and brought into this Nazi state. What I'd also like to point out in this introductory video, Mr. President, is that I mentioned that I would be able to determine within half an hour whether Vancouver was free or not. I didn't even need to land on the ground. If you can believe it, sir, there was a setup of cars and vehicles so that from the sky it would look like a normal city. They forgot one crucial thing. Vancouver, of course, is a beautiful city surrounded by mountains in a valley, fronting or opening up directly to the ocean. It's an ocean city. It's a seaside city. It's very large, but it is an ocean town. They forgot to put boats in the water. All the inlets, all the small streams and riverways, they forgot to put any boats. This town, Mr. President, I can now say resolutely, because I have come from Toronto and traveled all west through Alberta and northwest to Whitehorse, Yukon, and now directly south to Vancouver. All of Canada is now empty. 35 million Canadians are missing. The fact that there was not one single boat in the water, keep in mind this is a major port city on the west coast, and there's an immense amount of traffic that flows through the Vancouver port to Asia. Not one single boat is there. Nothing. They forgot. They overlooked to put boats in the water. I am now faced another situation that my life is in extreme danger. These people are frantic. They know they've been caught. I've exposed through my travels that Canada is vacant. There are 35 million Canadians that are missing. This place is full of clones again. The real Canadians are not here. I am still trying to find them. The other point I'd like to make is that I have now traveled not only from Toronto, 4,000 miles at least, from Prince Edward Island, Summerside when I left when I was drugged, to Whitehorse. I've now traveled the distance between Whitehorse and Vancouver. It was a 2-hour and 15 flight. So we're looking at about 15-minute. We're looking at about at least, I'm guesstimating, at least another 1,500 miles from Whitehorse to Vancouver. I have been stalked, gang-stalked by a bunch of criminals and thieves all across Canada, and now I've been stalked just today alone another 1,500 miles south. I have been treated worse than any animal could ever be treated. What I'd like to point out as well is that the cell phone that I had was stolen by the RCMP on Wednesday when they falsely arrested me and accused me, of all people, of criminal harassment. I have stated before that every month that goes by, there you go, every month that goes by, they steal $300 to $400 from me. I just had to spend another $160 getting a phone that I just spent $160 for on September 27th. So less than 1 month, the police stole my phone again. I face this every day. By mid-month, another $300 to $400 will be stolen. I'm talking about mid-November. Whenever I buy anything, the prices are jacked up. I am terrorized, and that's the reason why I'm constantly starving and why I constantly have no money to pay for any accommodation whatsoever. I'd like to point out as well, the last 3 evenings, the RCMP sent someone into the ATM vestibule in which I was sleeping, the Royal Bank ATM vestibule, to sleep directly beside me, if you can imagine. And these people are satanic worshipers. I have had little sleep over the last couple of days. Last night, the most violent thing happened in the ATM vestibule. The RCMP were waiting outside with a man that they sent in. They were waiting for me to wake up, go outside and have a cigarette. When I was standing outside, they sent a man in, and the reason I know this is because the RCMP are so cocky. They drove by 10 seconds after that man entered into the ATM vestibule. They did the same thing when they threw me out of an ATM vestibule. As I was leaving that one night, the RCMP drove by exactly that second. Last night, when I went out for a cigarette, they sent someone in to kick around all of my stuff, what little there is, including some candle holders that I just bought. This lunatic kicked all my bags, my clothes, they were all over the ATM vestibule. This is the violence that I encounter every minute of my life now. Mr. President, I updated the most recent Facebook post that I put. Excuse me. My health is deteriorating. I'm trying to recover from the cold that I got in Whitehorse because I've slept outside for the last 3 weeks on the pavement in the freezing subarctic weather. That's where that cough comes from. What I was going to mention is that the situation is now becoming so violent that I'm barely surviving. I have no place to stay tonight. I'll be sleeping on Vancouver streets. I am constantly being robbed of money. I am being challenged in the most egregious way. There you go with the sound. Imagine that every moment of your life. It just never ends. And the man walks right by you so that you are terrorized even further. This is the situation I face, Mr. President. I need immediate help. I need the army to come in and rescue me because these lunatics are going to murder me. There's another one. There you go. That is criminal harassment. That is bullying. That is threatening. I face that, Mr. President, every single day of my life. I am saying this now because my life is at serious risk. I would like to point out that the RCMP, I had to leave Whitehorse because I was afraid for my life. If I stayed there another couple of weeks, I would be dead. I'd like to point out, Mr. President, in closing, that the royal family not only killed JFK, the royal family killed JFK Jr. There is no doubt in my mind. I have confirming evidence that allows me to state that equivocally. The royal family, there you go. That person, Mr. President, is a clone. There are no humans here. There are very few. What I stated to you earlier, that children go by screaming and yelling and jumping and creating noise, that is another example. I face this all through my life. I am being criminally harassed. I am being gang-stalked relentlessly thousands of miles across the country. I am a Canadian citizen. I'm on Canadian soil. There's a Charter of Rights and Freedoms, but yet there is no police officer in this country that will protect me under any way. I need immediate evacuation from this place. I need security, and I need peace of mind. I have gone through this since June 14th, 2016, when the RCMP and the Illuminati drugged me with the date rape drug and kidnapped me and brought me into this hellhole. Canada is a Nazi state. There is no freedom here. There is no business going on here, legitimate, normal business. There are no Canadian citizens here. They have all fled and they're all in hiding. This is a bit longer than I wished, but this is my first introduction, my first introductory video, Mr. President. Vancouver Musings to President Donald Trump. I thank you for your time. I thank the U.S. administration for everything that it has done to keep me alive to this point, and I am desperately asking for any help that can be extended to me to get me away from this constant hell. I have post-traumatic stress disorder, and I am being mentally tortured. They wish to the point where I commit suicide. They drove Whitney Houston to suicide. They drove Robin Williams to suicide. They are presently attempting to drive Lady Gaga to suicide. They have been attempting to drive me to suicide for over 3.5 years. Thank you for your time to the Mr. President and the U.S. administration and the White House. Thank you again. I hope to update you again. I'll post some further postings. My decision at this point in time is, where do I go now to find freedom? I've traveled from Toronto across Canada and now down to Vancouver. I am being gang-stalked relentlessly and I still have no freedom. Where do I go to find freedom?